This is Joy News Prime.
Hello, welcome to 2 hours of your most comprehensive news bulletin. Joy News Prime on Joy News on Multi-TV with me, Francisca Kakra-Force. And coming up, Supreme Court says Speaker of Parliament broke the law when he refused to be sworn in as president in the absence of President Mahama and his vice president in November last year. Two NDC parliamentary aspirants, Ni Amasa Namwale from Dade Kotopon and Sam George from Ningo Prampram, have been suspended by the Greater Accra branch. As the world's attention is focused on the plight of persons living with disabilities, an MP is demanding amendments to the law to secure and protect their rights.
And in business tonight, government has been advised to, as a matter of urgency, prioritize adding value to exports and move away from over-reliance on the export of raw materials.
And doctors at the Focus Orthopedic Hospital in Accra begin the process to correct the curved spine of a 5-year-old girl who was the subject of a recent feature story on this channel. We also have entertainment, sports, and the interactive segment, all in the next 2 hours. The Speaker of Parliament broke the law. That's the verdict from the Supreme Court in a case challenging the Speaker's refusal to be sworn into office in November last year in the absence of President Mahama and his vice. Kwabena was in court and has filed this report.
The 9-member panel, presided over by Justice Sofa Ekufu, ruled that the actions of the Speaker on the 5th and 15th of November were inappropriate. According to them, any contrary argument would be, quote, unattractive. They say whoever takes over from the president in the absence of the president and the vice president must be properly sworn into office, as that duty comes with additional responsibility. One other relief the plaintiffs were seeking was for the court to declare the actions of Right Honorable Speaker Doa Jaho as a high crime, but the 9-member panel declared that that matter was not properly laid before them, as the Speaker cannot be sued as an individual, but rather his office. Legal representatives of the two plaintiffs, Nia Patu Plan, says they are satisfied with the Apex Court's decision today.
As you recall, some time back he failed to subscribe to the oath of the president. And so we thought that failure or the refusal to subscribe to the oath was a clear violation of the Constitution. So we sought the Supreme Court to clarify on Articles 60, 11 and 60, 12 of the 1992 Constitution. And you were in court. The decision was unanimous. The decision was to the effect that the Speaker shall at all times, always, in fact, the emphasis was placed on always, that the Speaker shall always swear to the oath anytime he wants to assume the office of President, whenever the President and the Vice President are unable to perform their function. What it means is that any time the President and the Vice President are unable to perform the functions of President, the Speaker has no discretion whatsoever. He has to swear the oath.
It was all excitement after court proceedings. For Joy News, I am Kwache Afreniama.
Negative socio-cultural perception, stigmatization, limited access to education and poverty are just a few of the many challenges persons with disability in Ghana face. In spite of the numerous conventions and laws passed to enable these persons have equal rights, they continue to suffer in silence. As Ghana joins the rest of the planet to observe World Day of Persons with Disability, government's attention is being drawn to the many unemployed disabled persons who are anxious to get into the job market. Matilda Wemega reports.
He was not born blind, but after suffering a short illness at age 4, Amoni Nikwe became blind. 36-year-old Nikwe was born and raised in Accra. He lives with his family at Nima, a densely populated suburb of Accra, and does everything on his own. Nikwe knows his way around his immediate surroundings in the neighborhood. Going out to fetch water, washing, cooking, and cleaning his room forms part of his daily routine. The NVTI certificate holder in rural craft from the Accra Rehabilitation Center is disappointed at the many hurdles. He lives on the benevolence of friends and family, but says he is not giving up on achieving something for himself. One of his dreams is to become a radio presenter.
This youth employment thing, we try to involve ourselves, but we didn't get a chance. So far as I didn't get a chance, then I decided to do another course, which is the talent I know I have to be on the radio. My passion is to be in the media, to be a presenter. That's my passion. That's what I know I can do to take care of my family. At times I sit behind my radio and be picturing the future. I say, wow, one day, I'll also be there.
Isaac Yebuafari is 25. He holds a degree in education from the University of Cape Coast. He is currently in a group with 32 other disabled persons, seeking to get government's attention to secure them jobs.
Having come out of school, having graduated, and where I'm expecting that I will start working and also, start something in life. And if at this time I'm still at home, relying on my family, sometimes I psychologically, I'm very not comfortable psychologically, because it's not that you can't do anything. Yeah, and you see, when this also happens because of my situation, it only reinforces the societal perception, the negative perception the society have about us, that we are incapable. Because once you are at home, always moving about, doing nothing, people think that you are incapable of working, you don't have the ability to do anything.
But you have what it takes to work.
I have.
Isaac is wondering when government will honor its promise of providing jobs for the about 5,000 persons living with disability.
For 1 year now, I always have to come from all the way from BA to Accra to come and do these follow-ups together with my other colleagues. The president announced that this year they're going to employ 5,000 people with disabilities.
Have you employed anybody?
No. Well, I don't know whether they've employed some ghosts with disabilities. For now, I cannot tell. Because you see, it's ironical, and it is, if you say you are going to employ 5,000 people with disabilities, and we say we are just 32, the list we have submitted now, it's only 32, and the government is struggling to employ these 32 people. How should we interpret that statement the president made?
Meet the Deputy Chief Executive nominee of the Youth Employment Agency. He is blind, but luckily he's employed. Jacob Adongo wants the society to shun the negative perceptions about persons with disability and their intellectual capabilities. He charged employers to be more sensitive to the needs of such persons and not to despise them.
Some time ago, disability was treated as a medical issue. They would treat the disability and treat the disability. Now, they don't no longer treat the disability, they treat the society. It's the society that is sick that is making people disabled.
The desire of many persons with disability is for government to adopt pragmatic measures to turn their lives around. The World Health Organization estimates the disability rate of Ghana to be between 7 to 10%, which equates approximately 1.55 to 2.2 million people in the country. Previously, a quota system was in effect so that employers with a certain number of employees were obliged to have a percentage of PWDs employed. However, the system was poorly monitored and has been dropped. According to one administrative directive, persons with disabilities employed in the public sector were entitled to a disability allowance of 48 cedis every 3 months. But that is largely a mirage. The observance of the day aims to promote an understanding of disability issues and mobilize support for the dignity, rights, and well-being of persons living with disability. Getting a person living with disability employed means getting another vulnerable person off the streets. Matilda Pumagan for Joy News, Accra.
The special lift for persons living with disability at the Accra Sports Stadium is not functioning. No physically challenged person has been able to use it for several months because there's no permanent person to manage it, let alone direct users to access it. Joy News' MFA Ewena Mitiamwa Eli caught up with some physically challenged persons who were struggling to use the staircase at the stadium to attend an event by the Paralympic Committee of Ghana to commemorate the International Day of Persons Living with Disability.
Today is the 3rd of December, the International Day of Persons Living with Disability. I am at the Accra Sports Stadium, where there is a national event to mark this day in Ghana. Ironically, this structure here is not friendly to most people with disability here in Ghana. Guess what? I am here with two of these people. They are descending the staircase of the stadium towards the down where they are organizing the event so they can participate.
It's difficult for me to climb the step, but I always try because if I wasn't there, I couldn't climb it. I have to stay there. So I always forcing myself to climb the step and go to wherever I want to go.
First of all, I'm facing a lot of problem for climbing this side. At times, this of my walking stick, it use stripping. At times it rained this morning. Then I can easily fall down. And I always be in stadium here. At times they used to open the disabled side for us, but up to now they have not yet opened that place for us. So,
interestingly, there is a special lift available to enable persons with disabilities access the upper wings of the stadium. Unfortunately, the lift has not been functional for some time now. But how many of these persons are aware of the availability of this facility? Do you know about the disability lifts at the stadium?
Yes, I know that.
Okay, have you used it before?
No.
Why?
Because I didn't see the work, or may I not pass there. Because I use the step to go every day.
So that there's a lift that you can sit on, and then it will take you to the upper part of the stadium, the top of the stadium.
Yeah, I know.
Have you used it before?
No.
Why?
It's not working.
That there's a lift that you can access to take you to the top.
No, I don't know anything like that.
Okay, so in case you come to the stadium to watch a game and the front row on the ground is full, what do you do?
Then I can't go to the top there. I don't feel happy.
I set out to know what the leadership was doing about the state of the lift. Ignacio Zelete is the secretary of the National Paralympic Committee, Ghana.
The lift is supposed to help them, but at a point in time after the renovation of this place in 2008, the lift was, put in place to help the person with disability. But over the period, it has broken down. So,
Estate manager of the Accra Sports Stadium, Eric Nkansa-Dwamna, tells Joy News the lift is just one of the many malfunctioning facilities at the sports stadium. Managers of the facility say they have alerted government about its current state and are awaiting funds to enable them to start renovation.
There are a lot of facilities here which are broken down, and then we are making plans of the government releasing money for us to repair them, and it's one of the lifts that is not working. So hopefully, if the government release funds, and then we are okay with it, we would definitely work on it. It was working, but because we've not been using it, that is why it is malfunctioning right now.
So, till that time when the state makes money available to fix this facility, persons living with disability who come to the stadium at a time when the ground floor seats are occupied will have little or no choice than to go back home.
The Member of Parliament for Subing has charged government to table an amendment bill to plug the loopholes in Ghana's disability law. Reading a statement to commemorate the World Day for Persons with Disability, Isaac Osei said the current law is not enough to secure and protect the rights of the physically challenged. Emmanuel.atani has more.
On the day dedicated to the celebration of persons living with disabilities, physically challenged persons struggled to access the Chamber of Parliament, which has passed a law directing all public buildings to be made accessible or disability-friendly. These persons with disability had to come to the Parliament complex to observe the day. The least they expected was to encounter difficulties in accessing the chamber. Some of the physically challenged people couldn't help but express their frustrations with the situation.
Facing a lot of accessibility challenges. Even coming here is a problem. Some have to take the staircase, and luckily, because I'm in the wheelchair, I have to take the lift, and we have to wait for others to go one by one before I was able to get inside. If every place is accessible to us, I don't think we can complain, because we want to get involved in anything that the public is doing. We are all human beings, and we want to take part in building of the country. So, accessibility, we have been crying on this issue for quite a long time, before even the establishment of the bill. But up till now, it seems as if nothing is going on. There are some places where if they want to put up a ramp, the ramp is so steep in such a way that if you don't take care, you will even fall and hurt yourself. All those things must be looked into. There should be a measurement whereby if I'm in the wheelchair, there is no need for anybody to follow me before I can climb or come down.
Some of the government institutions, some of the banks, even some of the churches, what pains me is the church. The whole church building, it means if you have disability, you cannot have access to, to go and worship God, churches and mosques. So we're still appealing to the general public, the government, to enforce this law, to let this law work. It's still ongoing building are going on, but still it's not disability friendly. So we don't know if the law has been passed, that means the enforcement too must be applied to support all this cause. It's not even the building alone. Let's see the road construction that they've been made in the society. All has not, majority of them is not disability friendly. Even George Walker Bush, the road that they did, this road was not disability friendly. The able-bodied themselves, these cars were killing them. What of we the blind, we that on the wheelchair, we that the blind, we that the paralyzed people.
We want the actual and active implementation of the law, and for the gap analysis, the amendment bill, we want Parliament to pass it through quickly, so that the UN Convention will also come into force. For the law to be enforced, we have gone beyond the talking stage. We believe that there should be more action. So we still believe in dialogue, but the law itself has given us 10 years. We have spent 9 years already. So by implication, we have just a year to, adhere to all these things. So it's not me who is saying it, but the law itself has made it clear, and we want to see something done.
Parliament passed the Disability Law Act 715 in 2006, seeking to remove all barriers to the social inclusion of persons with disabilities. In a statement read to celebrate persons with disability on the floor of Parliament, MP for Subin Isaac Osei charged government to ensure enforcement of Act 715.
To the absence of provisions guaranteeing equality of all persons, to the double jeopardy suffered by persons with disability who also belong to other minorities and disadvantaged groups, to the safety of persons with disability in times of national emergencies, to the enforcement of public buildings access provisions in our law, and freedom from torture and cruel treatment and punishment. These are all areas where we have to fill in the gaps in our law.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Francisca Kakrafo. So we'll take a quick break. More stories coming up. News Prime. The Greater Accra Regional Branch of the National Democratic Congress has suspended the party's parliamentary candidates for Ningo Prampram and La Dadekotopong. Sam George and Ni Amasana Mwale have both been suspended for misconduct during the party's recently concluded primaries. The two men accused the regional executives of the party of bias. Let's recap what the two men said.
Oh, I feel vindicated.
Why?
Because they perpetrated fraud, thinking that Ni Amasana Mwale will lose. Ni Amasana Mwale and two candidates against the region. The region and two candidates against Ni Amasana Mwale. Hey, it's a big fight.
What are you accusing them of?
Oh, fraud. Fraud.
What do you mean by fraud?
They came And we filled the biometric booklets when we were doing the registration. In my house, there are 3 polling stations. Atani Delali A, Atani Delali B, Atani Delali C. We filled the form. The Atani Delali A belonged to some people. They were not for me. They were for one of the candidates. B and C are for me. The B and C filled their forms. The forms went in. Myself, my wife, my nephews, my nieces, my members in my house filled the form. We took it there. When the exhibition came, all the names with Namwali have been removed. All the names that they know that this is directly related to me have been removed. So I went to the region and I complained to they were in a meeting, and I told them that this is what I'm suspecting, that one of the candidates who was the secretary, I suspect he removed the list that contained the details of some of my close relatives.
And who is that?
Honorable Titi Katina, of course. He was the secretary. So I want them, region, to bring the booklets, the Atani Delali B and C, those 2 booklets, for me to verify whether actually he has removed those leaves. Adekoka ordered them that they should bring the booklets. Up to now, I keep following it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the booklets. The names were exhibited. Some of the names were not in. We did inclusion, and then we saw some MPP people in my area that non-MPP people. We did the deletion. It's not only here. It happened in Havana Park, where they registered. MPP people were registered that they didn't even know that they have been registered.
Head of our political desk here at Joy News, Evans Mensah, joins me in the studio for some analysis on this issue. Evans, welcome to Joy News Prime. First, did this decision come as a surprise?
No, because the party itself, let's talk about the Greater Accra region, because this decision was taken by the Greater Accra regional executives. The Greater Accra regional chairman, Adekoka, during our coverage of the elections 2 weeks ago, said to us that specifically Sam George will be sanctioned. He says his conduct will be referred to the disciplinary committee. And he made comments similar to what we just heard from Namwali there about fraud, his name having been deleted from the voters register, and 3,000 supporters he believes who backed him had also been expunged from the voters register. Obviously, subsequent to those allegations, evidence was produced by the Greater Accra regional chairman showing that in fact his name was on the voters register, and he did promise then that action will be taken. And so what has happened today essentially is the party keeping its promise that they will be sanctioned. The question is whether it had been done according to law. And if you read the party's own constitution, Article 40, it talks about a party member may be subjected to or may be subjected to the party discipline for any of the following acts: anti-party conduct, and that is B, anti-party conduct or activities likely to embarrass party or bring the party into hatred, ridicule, or contempt. We spoke to the party's Greater Accra regional organizer, who says these 2 individuals, Namwali and Sam George, their conduct, the pronouncement that they made that they believe turned out to be false, accusations of fraud, exactly did what the party says they shouldn't do, which is brought the party's name into ridicule and hatred. And that is why they've taken the decision to suspend them.
Now, what's the understanding of this suspension?
So, and this is an interesting thing because they've won an election. They've participated in the process, have been voted for, significantly so. In the case of Pram, for example, nobody thought Sam George can win. He won the elections. The Greater Accra regional executives say the fact that they've been suspended means that the election itself has been suspended. So as we speak, they say it's as if the elections never happened and never won elections. And so what they're now saying is Sam George, we know, is out of the country. He's now is in the country. Letters have been issued to them. The Greater Accra regional organizer says a letter was left in Sam George's office, and so he should be aware. They are now going to hold disciplinary hearings at which Mr. Namwali and St. George are expected to submit themselves to the process and then be heard on the matter. After that is done, a report will then be given to the national executive at the headquarters for final adjudication. The party's constitution allows that to happen, which is the first decision is taken by the regional. That decision is then subjected to, say, national review. And the statement came today from the party's headquarters saying that there's going to be a review. That review either upholds or rejects.
On that
what the
note,
region had done.
we thankfully have a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, that's George Lawson, on the telephone lines. Thank you very much for joining us on the news. We understand your position is that this sanction by the regional executives is illegal, correct?
Yes, it's very illegal.
Why?
And I've gotten insults, and people who are semi-literate are insulting me. I've gotten on their platform, some of the regional executives like that regional organizer who is a semi-literate insulting me. That I'm exhibiting what?
Okay.
Do exhibit illiteracy. Look at him.
Before you react to him, that's not why we called you, but we want to have an understanding why you say that the sanction by the Greater Accra branch is illegal. Why is that?
Thank you very much. The fact is that when something happens at the constituency level, then you have the constituency executive committee. They would have to suspend you, set up a disciplinary committee. So if they will give their report. If you are not satisfied, you go to region. If region is also, you are not satisfied, then you come to national. And again, if you are a member of the regional executive committee, then they can take that sanctions on. If you're a member of the national, it's done at the national level. But if you're an ordinary member of the party, you're a member at the constituency level, then the constituency takes charge. That is how it is. But okay, but meanwhile, we, the national executive, looking at what happened before, during, and then after the presidential and parliamentary primaries, we assembled members of our conflict resolution committee, chaired by Alaji Hudu Yaya, former vice chairman and former general secretary of the party, with and eminent members who are members of the committee, to look into all these matters. And they started sitting. So if the Supreme Court is sitting on a particular case, does any lower court have the power to sit on the same case? It will be very absurd, and this is an absurd situation. So if you are going to take a decision like this, you would have to find out from consult nature what are we doing after. Then we tell the measures that we put in place. Meanwhile, you've also written, the region has also petitioned national, and they are looking at all those things. So those things will be looked at. So why should you go and do a rabbit suspension? And again, we have a sitting member of parliament. What is the implication when you suspend a sitting member of parliament? He cannot do business on our behalf in parliament. When you sack him, then there'll be a by-election. He cannot go to parliament because he's representing us in parliament. So you just look at that.
Does that mean, just hold your horses, does that mean that they won't be sanctioned if indeed you...
No, you can sanction. You can sanction. But when you are sanctioned, you take cognizance of so many things. But the fact that you can sanction. But again, no, I'm just looking at this thing. I'm adding at the better factors. The sanctioning, yes, and I'm not sure any disciplinary committee, fine, you know that they will not come out with this finding.
So what happens now to...
Look at the period that we find ourselves. We just come out of this historic, this novel, and then people start challenging. Bear in mind, let me just show them. We had parliamentary and presidential primary. The numbers that the president got, the candidates also almost got the same. So are you disputing what the president got, and what if you are disputing are you disputing that of the president too, who was the sole candidate?
Mr. Lawson, why would the regional branch take this decision, knowing very well that...
Unless you find out from them. Unless you find out from them. Because once the truth is only one. And some of us speaking the truth, you have people, semi-literate people telling us we are exhibiting literacy. Do you exhibit illiteracy? If you are illiterate, do you exhibit it?
So for the NDC at the national level... Very well, Mr. Lawson. For the NDC at the national level, this never happened. This is null and void.
No, we have a committee that is looking into all these things. Already, there are tensions all over. We are trying to diffuse those tensions. That is what we are doing. We are not the NPP where you stand up and then get suspension. No.
Very well.
We are mindful of so many things.
Very well. Thank you very much. And that's a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, George Lawson. And Evans, he's raising the issue about how this will affect their campaign and chances in the 2016 elections.
Well, Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just like we're having a conversation about the MPP. If this drags on, what eventually happens, somebody will go to court. But I want to deal with some of the things he says about their own constitution. First, he talks about the disciplinary process according to their constitution, meaning that you have to start from the constitution level. If you really read their constitution, it appears that he has a point, because he says here, and that's Article 41, the discipline of any party member shall be exercised by the respective executives of the party at the various levels on the recommendation of the disciplinary committee of that level, save that the executive committee at each level may suspend a member for a period not exceeding 6 months if it's, in its opinion, such suspension is in the interest of the party. So it talks about levels.
So from what he says, it appears this is pending at the national level, meaning that the processes have gone.
Yes, and he says even if you want to kickstart it, you need to start from the minutest level, which is the constituency. Once the constituency finishes, then if you are still aggrieved, you go to the regional. If you're aggrieved, you go to the national. Even that, even if you don't respect that, there's already a body that has been set up to look into everything. So you need to go there first. Having said that, though, there's still some contradiction in what he said, because the party issued a statement today, signed by a Deputy General Secretary, in which they say that in the Ashanti region, they have upheld the decision taken by the Ashanti regional executives to suspend the candidate, the aspirant who won the elections in New Jobbing. The question I ask is, if the party at the national level is saying we've upheld the decision of the Ashanti regional executives in the Ashanti region, how come in the Great Saga, when the Great Saga people take a decision, an executive is saying to us that that decision is null and void, because it doesn't make sense to me.
I guess we don't know the details of the processes that they have gone through.
Maybe whether they satisfy the processes,
yes,
from there or not. But for me, that clearly is an issue with their own party's constitution that they need to sort of resolve in terms of clearly stating, because he didn't state clearly where you start from, how you end. And this thing he talks about having set up a disciplinary committee at the national level. It's not made, provision is not here in the party's constitution for that. So again, people can use it. And it's true, he mentions that the Great Accra regional organizer had in fact accused him on Top Story today that he doesn't know the party's constitution. That is why he's telling us that the person is semi-illiterate. Although, of course, I mean, the person is not here to respond. But obviously there's tension in the party now. And the point he makes about this affecting their chances in 2016 is a very valid one.
We'll see how all of this turns out. But thank you very much, Evan Smith. And he heads the political desk here at Joy News. My name is Francisca Kakra-Forson. You're watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you business. Hello again to Joy News Prime. Let's do business right now with Etonam Say. Etonam, government is being advised to add value to raw materials.
Right. I mean, apart from that, you know, the Stand Chart head of research is actually warning that 2016 is going to be a tough year. And I find this very interesting because this is contrary to what the IMF is saying and what the World Bank is saying. And I'm sure this is coming on the back of, you know, the humongous expenditure usually we see during election years, you know. So, I don't know. Let's see.
It'll be better.
I'm hopeful. I am. Now, the head of research at Standard Chartered Bank for Africa, Razia Khan, is warning 2016 will be a tough year due to some tough economic measures government is to institute. The country's development partners and institutions like the World Bank and IMF have all projected a pickup in economic growth, but Razia Khan tells Joy Business Ghanaians may have to bear the brunt of government's tough economic decisions next year.
It's certainly going to be a very tough year for Ghana, in which policy is going to be put to the test. We don't know that fiscal consolidation with the speed that is being suggested can actually be achieved. For a country that not so long ago was running a deficit in double digits as a percentage of GDP, to almost halve that level is a big ask. At the same time, if we're looking at the tightness of monetary policy, there's really very little room for any loose closeness in terms of money creation, in terms of what might provide a boost to credit creation and what might give impetus to credit growth, given the requirements of tight monetary policy. We do expect that inflation in Ghana will rise. We're forecasting an average of 18.6% for the whole year thereabouts, and by the end of the year we may only have seen a deceleration to levels of around 16%. So we need to be clear about it. While there's momentum from the oil and gas sector in Ghana, for many ordinary Ghanaians it may well feel like a year of considerable tightness. It's not necessarily going to be a return to trend growth.
Now, government has instituted steps to transform state-owned enterprises by way of the single entity ownership model. The move, which would bring all state-owned enterprises under one controlling body, is a recommendation by the World Bank. According to the Deputy Finance Minister, Lawson, government is committed to implementing this to eliminate inefficiencies in these enterprises.
Unfortunately, we are seeing a trend where a good number of the SOEs are not giving that return. Indeed, comparing the outturn in terms of return on investment for 2015, I'm seeing 11.7% return on investment. So if it's 11.7% return on investment, the question is, if a private sector is to invest, would the private individual accept 11.7% as a good return or not? I think it's not good enough. I'm seeing a trend where most of the SOEs are facing clear challenge. One, some of them are seeing overstaffing because clearly it's a state company, let me just employ. I think the status quo must change. The Ministry of Finance is working to ensure that we can implement the single entity where we'll be able to at least monitor the financial aspect of the SOEs. It doesn't mean we are taking your corporate governance away from you. But what it does mean is for us to at least have some oversight. Cabinet has approved a single entity. We are working with the AG's department to at least back it by law. And for us to look at the future in such a way that we will use the single entity concept, working close with the World Bank. And Mr. Country Director, thank you for your effort. Working with the World Bank to make sure we can implement the single entity.
Vice Chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, Kwabena Duffuor, has reiterated calls for the country to, as a matter of urgency, prioritize adding value to exports. This, according to him, has become imperative, especially given the current trend of falling commodity prices on the world market. Kwabena Duffuor, who is also the Executive Director of Peace Petroleum, explains this is a wake-up call for a shift in over-reliance on the export of commodities in their raw state for economic higher returns.
You see, it would always help an economy if you can add value where the return is higher. So for our gold, for instance, if we can add value to our gold where we've done gold bars, when the price goes up, we have the gold bars there. When the price goes down, we hold on to our gold bars. But when we're exporting raw material, how much money do we get out of that? And I expect our oil should be so. Why do I say that? We have to get to a point where we can think of putting refineries up where we add value. Because at the present moment, the downstream industry, where you bring in refined petroleum products, everything is imported. We have Tor, don't we? Let's see how best we can get good refineries in place, not only to refine for Ghanaian consumption, but also to refine for West Africa. Because in the Gulf of Guinea today, every country seems to be exploring and discovering oil and gas. If that is the case, then there's a case for us to put up good refineries. However, the other thing that we need to do and do very well is gas. It looks as if Ghana has a huge potential of gas. And I don't think it's only Ghana. I think Cote d'Ivoire has it, Liberia will have it, Sierra Leone will have it. What are we doing as ECOWAS to make sure that we harmonize all this? To provide electricity, to provide other added value services that gas brings to create a certain employment for our people. I think gas is strategic. I think solar is also strategic where power is concerned. And we should start looking at that so that in the next 10 to 15 years, we would have power that is sustainable, power that would help us develop. Because all these industries we talk about, without power, forget it.
Time now to talk cash as well as advise you on which stocks to look out for this weekend. John is here to help me do that. John, I see the market is still slow. EBG is the only equity trading and it's losing.
Exactly. So no wonder. You know, we are getting to Christmas and a lot of individual investors are actually withdrawing some of their investment to shop for the Christmas, especially those who import. So that's basically what happens around the last quarter of the year. You don't see much activity on the Ghana Stock Exchange. You know, the market is gradually ending. That's exactly how I'm saying
because
it.
The year is ending.
The year is ending. Right. You don't see much institutional investors trade. They would want to keep on to their investment. But then what we call the retail investors like myself and yourself, right. Okay, we always would want to buy, sell. Around this time, you need to buy for, you know, the kids here and there. So it's like you withdraw some of your investments, and then when after Christmas you would want to see you do more. So that's exactly what we are witnessing here. As EBG, as a Koban Ghana, is actually losing 2 pesos to close somewhere around 7 pesos for the day. That's quite, it's not a bad news, but then EcoBank is a value stock, so if you really would want to go in, this is the best time to actually do it.
EcoBank.
Exactly, right. So I think that is how it is. And looking at the commodities market, there's one big news there. No commodity lost today.
No commodity lost.
Those that lost, Ghana is not trading in them, okay? But those that we are very actively trading across the globe, talking about crude oil, cocoa, and then gold, all gained. But the significant gain went to cocoa, which actually gained almost around $49, okay, to close around 3,300. Exactly so. But the unfortunate thing is Ghana is not producing more to take advantage of this price increment. So
Cote d'Ivoire is really competing with us.
Cote d'Ivoire is competing and they are winning the competition as we speak.
We'll get there, we'll get there.
We should be getting there. Let's hope so, exactly. And on the currency market, yesterday, the cedi did very well by maintaining its own against the dollar. I think it continued that momentum and on that same trajectory against the dollar today. But it lost somehow to the British pound, a loss to the euro, and lost to the Chinese yuan. The Chinese yuan, I said, we should be looking around. Tomorrow I'll ask you whether you just go out there, get yourself one. Is really gaining value over the period. So I think so far, go and get a Chinese. Have you seen one before yourself?
No.
Exactly. So it's a good try. Go get one.
Many thanks, John.
So that's the market for today. It's been quite dull, but I think going forward we're going to see a bit more on the market.
Many thanks for your time, John. And that's how we wrap up with business. My name is Atani. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.
You're watching Joy News Prime. The new Patriotic Party has strongly rejected suggestions of a growing culture of silence in the party. The recent suspension of the party chairman Paul Afoko and the initiation of disciplinary proceedings against the General Secretary and Second Vice Chair have all fueled this perception of stifling of free speech within the main opposition party. But Deputy General Secretary Nana Obri tells Joy News these concerns are out of place. He spoke to my colleague Kwachia Frenyama.
There is no culture of silence. In fact, we are united. Individuals can express their views and sentiments. That has been the tradition of the party. The tradition is that you have the right to express your views, your sentiments, your opinions. Nobody will take you to task. But make sure in expressing your views, you don't go beyond the point of insulting us, belittling our intelligence, or question some of the actions of the party. In every society, in every institution, in every organization, which is human managed, human-oriented, human control, there is a borderline for an individual member of that institution to cross. At least once you belong to that institution, once you belong to that political party, you must know that at least there are the do's and the don'ts. And therefore, we don't try, as it were, to question or belittle the intelligence of the other members of the party when far-reaching decisions are taken by the leadership of the party.
Would this not amount to an affront on the same democratic credentials that the MPP, prides itself with?
That is never true. That's never true. The point is that this is an organization. It is an institution, a political party. All of us are subscribed to a certain opinion. We are all members. These are the do's, these are the don'ts. As simple as that. When you go wrong, these are the measures we will be taking. When you go right, these are the measures we will be adopting. And so therefore, when you go wrong, when you break the laws of the party, when you violate the laws of the party, when you violate the laws of the institution, and then sanctions are imposed on you, I don't think that is a matter of trying to get you out of the institution. It's a matter of drawing your attention to the fact that there is a borderline. Make sure you don't cross the borderline.
40 people have been arrested in Kumasi for illegal connection of electricity. They were picked up in separate operations by the Electricity Company of Ghana. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports.
22 people were arrested at Danyame district, 11 at Swami, and the rest were picked up at the Iboka district in the Ashanti region. The suspected consumers who owe the ECG over 1,000 Ghana cedis and above restored power supply to themselves after they were disconnected. Erasmus Beidou is the ECG Regional Public Relations Officer.
If you look at the aggregate in the Ashanti region alone, we are being owed by our customers to the tune of about almost 100 million Ghana cedis. This is a lot of money, and we have realized that if we don't take stringent measures, customers will continue to take us for a ride. And what we have done so far is that per the strategy that we have adopted, this time round we are going out house to house, door to door, premises upon premises. And what we are doing is that we are checking and inspecting all bills and all meters. Now, last Monday, for instance, the regional office plus the technical team, we divided ourselves into two. One group supported the Nyame district, another group supported Swami district. And on Tuesday, both two groups went to Ebuakwa district to enforce payment, to check on illegal connections and those who have been disconnected and who have on their own reconnected themselves. This is an act of impunity.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. When we come back, we'll bring you some international news. Right now, I'm joined in the studio by Efua Akwa Harrison to tell us or give us a sneak peek of what's coming up in Joy News Interactive.
Hello, Francisca. Good evening. And today is World Day of Persons with Disability. And there are lots of conventions and laws which have been passed to enable these persons have equal rights in Ghana, but they continue to suffer in silence. Two people from the two leading political parties seem to be in deep waters as they face possible suspensions. When I return within the hour, I'll give you all the details. Of course, do join in with your comments on our social media platform. The segment is brought to you by Airtel. I'll be right back. Francisca.
All right. You're watching. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Let's take another look at our headlines. Supreme Court says Speaker of Parliament broke the law when he refused to be sworn in as president in the absence of President Mahama and his vice in November last year. Two NDC parliamentary aspirants, Ni Amasa Namwale from La Dade Kotopong and Sam George from Ningo Prampram, have been suspended by the Greater Accra branch. As the world's attention is focused on the plight of persons living with disabilities, an MP is demanding amendments to the law to secure and protect their rights. The business government has been advised to, as a matter of urgency, prioritize adding value to exports and move away from over-reliance on the export of raw materials. Thanks for staying with us on Joy News Prime. We'll continue with the news. Doctors at the Focus Orthopedics Hospital in Accra have started the process to correct the curved spine of 5-year-old Jemima Korte, who was the subject of a recent feature story on this network. With some benevolent donations from the public, Joy News has paid 35,000 Ghana cedis out of a total bill of more than 90,000 cedis. MFA Ewena Mitiamwa has more.
Jemima embraced medical staff at Focus and posed for the camera like a model on the runway just to express her joy and appreciation. She appeared to have been waiting for this moment. The Chief Executive Officer of Focus Orthopedics Hospital, Professor Ohene Babuachiji, said the 35,000 Ghana cedis part payment will take care of admission expenses, including feeding for the next 4 months. He assured the news team Jemima will immediately be admitted.
Jemima is a very lucky one. Her condition is such that if we did nothing, she probably will not live past 20.
I see.
Her back is so twisted that it even will take about 6 months of treatment or even more. And after that, she may even need more surgeries because she's so young and you can't fuse the spine at one time. So the plan is to bring her, put her in a halo with a ring and then stretch her over a period of like 4 months, keeping her in the hospital, which is a lot of resources to do that.
She has also undergone a series of laboratory tests in preparation for the actual treatment. Jemima's father, Emmanuel Korte, was overwhelmed with joy and remained hopeful the entire amount will be realized for Jemima's full treatment.
I'm really happy for your effort in helping to raise the 1/3 of the amount for the operation. Yeah, but it's been a concern, it's been a bother. But I thank God that at least we are making gradual process towards the surgery.
Jemima needs 94,000 Ghana cedis to correct her curved spine. The multimedia group is appealing to the general public to donate to Barclays Bank account number 041-201-8095. Or cash donations can be made at the front desk of Joy FM or multi-TV offices at Kukumlemle.
Away from that, the Chinese government has assisted Ghana conduct free cataract surgery for about 200 patients. The operations were conducted at the Lekma Hospital here in Accra. The Vice President, Kwesi Arthur, also lauded the initiative, which he says will empower the victims to live healthy lives.
One would say that 200 is not a large number, given that I'm told that there are about 60,000 cataract patients that are created every year. And because we treat only about 15,000 of them a year, we have a backlog of large numbers of people with this condition that are walking around our country that need a simple, reversible procedure to make them see. And so we thank the People's Republic of China, the government and people of China for this intervention on our behalf. But we know that they have also trained people and show that it is possible to do this for many people.
Religious bodies and personalities who broadcast on various radio and television channels will now do so under strict regulation. The National Media Commission says this has become necessary because religious programming on the airwaves leave much to be desired. NMC Chairman Kwesi Jana-Pinting says stakeholders will be brought together on December 15 over the new guidelines.
We have thousands of dedicated religious leaders from all faiths who are working hard within their communities and faiths to produce good citizens, as we say, for God and country. We commend their effort. Unfortunately, there are some religious leaders whose activities tend to cause problems for people of other faiths and for the country as a whole. Under the guise of motivating their faithful, some veer towards extremism in speech and action. This is causing a lot of concern for most citizens in the country. Indeed, it has become routine for many preachers on radio and television to make remarks and engage in activities that can lead to extremist reaction in this country. In the process of preaching their beliefs, some religious preachers take advantage of their followers and extort monies and valuables from them. Some keep their people in constant fear of real or imagined forces. And activities of some of these charlatans have divided families, rendered some people hyper-spiritual, and make others and turn others into following spiritual fantasies, resulting in loss of productivity and threatening national cohesion. Some of the religious extremists and manipulators even take advantage of the women, girls, and indeed, I must say, boys, exploiting them sexually. Needless to say, these activities have painted a negative picture about religious activities in the country.
Authorities of the Asankragwa Senior High School in the Ambenfi West District of the Western Region are appealing for support to complete the school's only assembly hall project, which has been under construction for more than 40 years. School authorities say the increasing student population makes it imperative for them to complete the project.
Since its establishment, the Asankragwa Senior High School has seen very little development. The Assembly Hall project, restarted in 1974, has stalled for many years, yet the facility is in use despite its sorry state. Joy News gathered that the last contractor assigned to the project abandoned work in 2013, while all efforts to trace him proved futile. Students of the school lamented they are forced to abandon exams in the hall whenever it rains.
It rains and some of the papers get wet, so they have to come and sit in twos and in threes whilst they are writing the examination. So we just want you people, we just want the media to forward this thing. If they can complete this assembly hall early.
Headmaster of the school, Victor Yani, appealed to the district assembly to come to their aid.
An assembly hall complex, which was awarded the school in 1974, when the Honorable DC was in Form 1, if you heard him. He was then an old student there, he was in Form 1, when the foundation stone was laid. As of today, this project is still not complete. So far, I can count about 7 contractors who have come to work on the project. Every time they come, they do an aspect of it, and then they abandon the project.
District Chief Executive for Wasa Amenfi West, Samuel Victor Miesu, has promised to help complete the project.
You're watching Joy News Prime. In a bit, Ms. G will be joining us for entertainment. You don't want to miss that. Please stay. Ms. G is in the studio with me.
Hello, Franca. How are you doing?
I'm great. Loving your necklace.
Thank you, but I'm in a rapping mood, you know.
Hey. It was the Pope bars, then Muhammad bars. Now it's Miss G bars. Okay, now I thought I knew everything about Kwabena Kwame.
No, I also thought that I knew everything about him. I thought I knew that he had a song Small Small with Miss V. I thought that I knew that he had 2 brothers who were also into music. But there are lots of other things that you and I do not know about Kwabena Kwame, and these are the things you didn't know about him. All right, so those are some 5 things you didn't know about Kwabena Kwame. I know that he is emotional, especially when his little brother had the stroke, and I had an interview with him. When we were talking about it, he was like, "Oh, you made me so sad," and you could tell on his face that he was that emotional. Well,
I kind of agree with him. I don't like people touching my hair.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I'll do that.
No, please.
And see what your reaction will be.
Looks like the Shatta Samini feud is still trending.
Yes, it is. You know, they have younger folks who are also into dancehall who look up to them, and one of them is dancehall artist Jupiter. Jupiter is the one behind the Enemy's Track. Now, he's regarded Samini as his godfather in the industry, and also he says because someone like Shatta Wale also is making hits and came before him, he also regards him as a godfather in the industry. But he has his take on the feud between Shatta Wale and Samini.
I feel it's very entertaining.
You know, that's my point. I don't know about people. You know, it's sad when people try to take this entertainment to a different level. If two artists are warring, just sit back and enjoy. Do you understand? Because music is lyrical confrontation. It's not something action. It's not something verbal. You know what I mean? That you have to hit or punch somebody because this artist belongs to this crew and this one belongs to crew. And it's happening in Jamaica. People are killing themselves. You know what I mean? So I find it very hilarious, very, very entertaining, and nice to watch, but they shouldn't take it to that level. Respect to Shatta Wale also, is a very creative artist too as well, and he's also a godfather in the game because he was there before I came. Yeah.
You think it's healthy? Now you're telling me about Jamaica where people have taken it to a different extent and people are killing themselves. Now you know these people have a massive movement. We have the Shatta movement, we have the high grade family, and so people are following these people. Do you think it's healthy because it will get to a time that people will also start fighting amongst themselves because they belong to these two different factions?
Yeah, well, whoever fights against themselves, I consider them as fools, you know, because, excuse my language though, but I just have to be real. Fighting for what? You know, we should just ask ourselves that question. This is music, it's love, you know, and to make it more entertaining, we need this kind of things, you know what I mean? It is up to the artists, whoever two battling themselves, to choose their words wisely and try to make the people who actually follows them be more educative and let them know that, look, it is nothing serious, it is nothing to, you know, something that is supposed to have any negative side of it, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's Jupiter on the feud between Shatta Wale and then Samini. But you know, how many times have you been heartbroken? Tell me.
I think a few times.
Okay. How many times did you break someone's heart? Or anybody?
I think a few times too.
Okay, so for you, you've enjoyed breaking people's hearts, and people also have enjoyed breaking your heart.
The world is not fair.
Okay. But for Jupiter, he hasn't been heartbroken. He can never get heartbroken. He actually has dated just a girl, just one single lady, his entire life.
Ooh.
He's not searching, but he's single, and he talks more about his relationship.
I've not seen anybody at the moment. Yeah, I'm just me now. Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because yeah, I think I should be me for now. Yeah, I have somebody that I wish I could see. But then the person don't know me, I don't know the person either, so I'm just single for now.
Have you ever been heartbroken before?
No, nobody, no girl can break my heart. Honestly speaking, I can stand my life on that. Yeah, I can bet my life on that, you know, because I think I'm that kind of child that experienced my dad and all my parents having difficulties, you know, and it has stuck in my mind, and I'm always mindful of it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't allow women to break my heart. It's going to be very, very extra difficult. Because I can't love you 100%. Neither can I love you 50%. Yeah.
How many percent can you love?
Probably 5. But somebody like you, I can give you 100.
You're not serious about that. You're not serious that you love 5%, are you?
I do love 5%. The 95 it goes to God. Yeah, because He's the creator of everything. So I just give it back to Him. And then He allows me to give 5 to whoever that I will share my life experience with. So,
I see.
Yeah.
I see. But you look like a very good boy. How many hearts have you broken so far?
Man, I've never broken any heart. Neither have I been in the, how do we call it, like I have only been in one relationship all my life.
Making a pass at you, saying he would give you 100%.
How different am I from all the other ladies he's seen and giving them 5%?
100% for you.
He's only 5%.
That's them, but you are going to get 100%. You just missed it.
Because I knew he was just joking. He wasn't serious. Hey.
You just broke his heart. Let's talk about the king of comedy.
Yeah.
KSM.
KSM, you know, every December. Now, of course, he took a break, but he's back every December. What he does is, you know, December 25, he brings us something special. Now, he's been talking about the fact that lots of these young comedians do something he thinks is not too good because they try to play on people's integrity and they call it comedy. For he thinks that that's not comedy. He rather defines comedy.
I think I'm starting to see that people are beginning to appreciate the satire, you know, looking at society and sort of commenting on it. In a way, people also misunderstood satire. I've seen people being very, very harsh, telling some very, very unkind things and so it's only satire. No, that's not satire. You know, satire is telling the truth but in a way that makes people think about the issues, you know. And I think people are slowly getting into it now, you know. So if anything at all, I see that it's a culture that is also beginning to happen, you know. But in the past, I think the overriding strength for mine has been the humor and the comedy, and so people tend to be attracted to it. Although sometimes I think my message is missed out a little bit. They look at the funny side, but they don't really pick the deep message in there somewhere. You know. Yeah. Ghana, there's somewhere serious. And it could have been a very powerful play. You know, what's that? But when I come, I said, Dad, the movie was bad. It means it's good.
Okay,
so that's the king of satire for you.
Yes.
KSM.
Now I want to talk about Genevieve Nnaji.
Yes.
She tried to sing Adele's Hello.
Yes.
How did that go?
You know, Adele's Hello is a big deal in Nigeria. You know, Adele, after releasing that song Hello, bit Taylor Swift the very first night. Within 24 hours, she had beaten Taylor Swift to it. You know, she had over 20 million views that very night. In Nigeria, it's a big deal. We had Omolmi doing her version, and then we had some other people do versions. I think over 20 versions of Adele's Hello so far.
So Genevieve can
So Genevieve tries her hands on it. I don't know if she missed her lines. So we put together her lines and then Adele's lines. Okay, so
I love that song.
The difference is that clear. I don't know what words. Maybe I don't know which version she heard.
The Niger version.
Or this is the remix. You know, like she says remix. Then she starts hello.
Okay, let's talk about Patriotic and Stonebwoy.
Patriotic and Stonebwoy have a beautiful relationship. They both here in Ghana contested in a reality show. Now Stonebwoy came first, Patriotic came after him, and ever since they've had this beautiful relationship. I know they did the pull-up song by Stonebwoy. They did a remix of it, and Patriotic was in town, and they performed together. Now these two decided to pull a dance contest. Let's see who does it better. Okay, so who was the best dancer for you?
Neither of them.
Oh, you don't like the Cobra thing?
No.
Like I'm coming to. Like I'm coming to. Okay.
Yeah. I think between the two of us, who's the best dancer?
Oh, I think you do well.
I do. I try, but
you try at least. But no, you do well. I try. Israel is a robot.
Yeah, Israel. I don't know what happens with him. But that's it for entertainment. Thank you,
Franca, for having me.
Entertainment.
Okay, it's time for sports, and the birthday boy is in the studio. Happy birthday to my voice is filling.
Thank you.
Okay, my producer is saying I should give you a hug. We're hoping that won't turn into something else. So okay, so how old are you now?
Did you watch Bananas and Granules by Uncle Ebo White?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But how old are you, Gary?
Oh, old enough.
You're going to tell us your football age?
Yeah, football age. I'm 22.
You're 20. Okay, football age 22, but real age is probably more.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you're going to talk about age cheating.
Yes.
Okay.
Interestingly. All right. So thank you very much. And today on the spot, we are going to begin with age cheating, and Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo has cautioned football administrators to desist from the practice. He says it's inimical to the development of the sport.
And the most dangerous thing about what we are doing in this country is that, unfortunately, we connive with these small little boys or young men. The press does it, officials do it, and indeed, even parents. And as such, it's very, very difficult to eradicate it. When I was the boss of the AFA, we had similar examples, where boys about the age of 25 will tell you they are 17. I mean, you can't believe it. When you see a 17-year-old boy, you should be able to. You know, so I think it's time really we put a stop to it. It will never help this country. The boys After coming out with this false performance, they just bent out. And we know some of the examples, we don't have to go through that. So I think we have to look carefully at this AGT. It's not helping the nation at all. Thank you.
Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo there. Moving from football, and former athlete Sam Aye has advised sports federations to select junior athletes from schools. He believes that doing that will be able to give the country a conveyor belt of talent for years and years to come.
His Excellency has spoken about the AGT, and it's because we have neglected the school sports. Most often, me for instance, or most of us came from the school sports. Nobody can tell me that hockey was not played in secondary school. Everybody came from the school sports. But now we have neglected it. So all these problems are being caused by the coaches, because in quotes we can see their incompetency. So they have to bring overage sportsmen. In athletics, what we have been able to do is, when we call you as a junior, one, we tell you to bring your JSS certificate, because that one have got your age, so we can calculate that one. So I think I urge the other federation to go by that one, rather than that thing carry off.
So away from that and going abroad to more sports stories. Today's big story has been about Oscar Pistorius. You recall that his trial was sentenced on or predicated on manslaughter, but today South African Supreme Court has pushed it up a notch further. They say he's now guilty of murder, which has changed the whole dynamic of the situation. And let's begin with the numbers before we go to the scandal, or else let's begin with the scandal first. If you go to my journal online, this is one of our leading stories, and it's been leading around the world. Of course, the aside has been that Issa Hayatou, the acting FIFA vice president, was pictured sleeping at a FIFA meeting in Zurich, and that is after FIFA called a press conference hours after 2 officials were arrested. So let's see details of that story right now. Now, 2 high-ranking FIFA officials were arrested at dawn in Dawn Ritz as a Swiss hotel on suspicion of accepting millions of dollars of bribes, and police swooped on the luxury Beau Ola hotel in Zurich, where several FIFA officials were arrested in May. And a 2-day meeting of FIFA's EXCO is taking place in the city to vote on reforms. And so those are 2 key things there as well. Also on the My Joy Online page, you can see other stories involving the fact that FIFA are considering a new proposal. Now, as you may know, before now, FIFA executives and FIFA presidents could have an unlimited term of office. However, with the new proposals, if it's ratified, it will mean that they will have just 3 4-year terms, meaning that they will have a maximum of 12 years. Finishing off with FIFA, but still in the numbers game, this year has been a sensational year for Belgium, and they finish the FIFA rankings top of the table at number 1.